American Revolution has given us some of the most famous and influential women in history. One of those is Molly Pitcher. The story of Molly Pitcher comes from the Battle of Monmouth on June 28, 1778. It's important to note that in the summer of 1778, that it was an extremely hot summer, up in the century, 105, 106 degrees. So the soldiers became very thirsty. Some of them would pass out, even die from heat exhaustion. So Molly Pitcher would bring them pitchers of water to quench their thirst, to cool their guns, and to give them some sort of relief during battle. One of the times she was bringing water down, she witnessed her husband, who was injured and unable to perform his duties, in which she took his place. In fact, Elizabeth Nith of History.com writes, one soldier wrote in his diary, while in the act of reaching a cartridge and having one of her feet as far before the other as she could step, a cannon shot from the enemy passed directly between her legs without doing any other damage than carrying away the lower petticoat. So we hear from the soldiers, while he doesn't specifically say who Molly Pitcher is, we do know that there was a woman on the battlefield that was helping firing the cannon. So who exactly was Molly Pitcher, or who is Molly Pitcher? We look at another article written by Greg Tillman in this at history.org. In his article, he mentioned that most historians believe that the story of Molly Pitcher is really two different stories kind of merged into one. So you have the story of Margaret Corcoran Corbin and the story of Mary Ludwig Hayes Macaulay. Both women had husbands who were serving in the army. Both of them were injured, and both women went up and helped out with the cannon. So we look at the Pennsylvania Magazine of History and Biography, which touched on this, and this was pulled from the JSTOR website. In 1879, when Reverend C.P. Wing responded to a letter about Mary Ludwig, he wrote, after doing some research on Mary and going back to her house and talking to some of her grandchildren, some of her family members, and hearing her story, he wrote, when he was struck down, she, coming on the ground with a pitcher of water for him and others, she instantly took his place. So there's another incident, and this is of Mary Ludwig, where she instantly took the place of her husband. So there's little doubt that women participated in the American Revolution, whether they were bringing water or whether they were partaking with helping out with the guns. We know that they weren't just in the back helping out the wounded, that they were actually in there, because there's several eyewitnesses saying that they saw women working the guns and that kind of stuff. Exactly who Molly Pitcher was, since neither woman was ever called Molly Pitcher or anything. I thought it was really interesting when C.P. Wing wrote at the end of his in 1879, the substantial fact and well-established and the whole story here constitutes a part of what is dear and true to the national heart. So there he's showing that this is a story of how women participated, and while Molly Pitcher is probably more than just one story, it's several women and how they participated in the American Revolution. Tillman writes at the end of his, although Molly Pitcher is a composite and stuff of legend, she was inspired by actions of several real women and contributed to the Revolutionary War effort with patriotism and courage. So we can see that Molly Pitcher is really a symbol of the impact that all women had on the American Revolution. Thanks.